KGPL calling car 11K. 11K come in. 11K, message from Detective Bukowski. Murder victim Jimmy LeBlanc's record shows he most often worked with an accomplice. Caucasian male, approximately 6'2", 220 pounds, heavily built, known only as Willie.
187 at 5810 Murata Avenue. Homicide wants you over there. The coroner thinks the broad was whacked using the army morphine. Don't say anything, Roy. Just get over there. Get to work, detective. They're waiting for you at the murder scene. Same misgivings as your partner, Phelps? I don't want to hear it from you either. Get on with it.
What's with that getup of yours anyway? I should start introducing us as Detective Earl, and this is my science teacher, Mr. Phelps.
Your interest in my appearance is starting to get me worrying.
Like it or not, we're a dysfunctional couple now. People judge me with you on my arm same way they would a fat broad with a 5 o'clock shadow.
I really hope you're joking, Roy.
You seem distracted. We recovered the morphine. Some of it might be unaccounted for, so what? That's life. We did our job.
Closing one case opens another.
Do you have any idea what is really going on while we're wasting our time following this stuff?
Are you going to tell me?
The deals being done right now will change the face of LA forever, and we're wasting our time on some hump.
Someone's little girl.
Visit the morgue at the end of the month when the John and Jane Does are cremated. Their percentages. The odds for and against lightning striking. A hopped-up model, a cad, and a circus freak. Only in L.A. Bukowski, Galloway, quite the little reunion in there. Almost brought a tear to my eye. He wouldn't be that way.
Fairy tales of the rich and famous.
That idiot never stepped foot in Okinawa.
They're good police.
How would you know? You got promoted so fast you barely had time to learn their names. Let me fill you in. Bukowski's a pushover. Galloway's a drunk. I think you're barking up the wrong tree. More like pathetic tales of the desperate to be rich and famous. Junkie Goldilocks and the Three Bears.
I'd have expected a cad like Arnett to be a better liar.
Arnett, LeBlanc, and Willie. You could learn a thing or two from both of them.
Don't you go putting the pieces together again before they fit, Phelps. Listen to your old pal Rusty. Or should I say Finbar, please. They couldn't work a vice case if their life depended on it.
I don't see why they'd be any better or worse at it than me. I wouldn't call him that if I were you.
I noticed you said better. Hubris disguised as humility. Kind of your trademark, don't you think? What do you care? It doesn't sound like you're the top of his Christmas card list.
He gives everyone a hard time. That's just how he is. Why do you always twist everything? Galloway's got nothing to prove. He's been on homicide for years.
And he's welcome to it. You're a terrier, Phelps, and that's what I need. Not some old bulldog who can't get up a flight of stairs without coughing off his lunch. Whatever gets you through the day, Cole. Nice move not telling old Sweet Lips in there about her friend taking the big jump till we were half out the door. Very slick.
I guess the wedding's off.
He only robbed her mother and killed her best friend. Cut the guy some slack.
I figured we'd get more out of her that way.
You're learning, Phelps. We'll make a vice cop out of you yet.
So how does the doctor fit in?
Have you noticed how croakers only pull out the physician-patient privilege card when they got something to hide? That's what we're about to find out. Maybe we should ask him to give you a quick once-over. That meathead gave you one hell of a pasting.
I've had worse. There are certain things people have a right to keep private.
Until it gets in the way of police work. And it's only private when it suits them. A couple of drinks and every doctor I've met will spill your darkest secrets in a heartbeat. You should have seen yourself staggering back in there like a drunken sailor. He was squirming like a worm in there.
Second floor. Apartment 6. In the back.
Next time you can take the runner, Roy.
Don't you love it when they pull the war hero excuse? Actually, maybe you don't. I didn't box in the Marines, though, did I?
Thanks.
Where are you taking us, Henry?
I haven't seen much, Detective. The suit's waiting upstairs can give you the story.
I should have never told you that.
The guy who owned the joint thought it was worth at least 10 large for a cigarette case. Arnett only got 600 clams.
Classy lady. Swanky place. It's a shame. Real shame.
A one-way ticket to Mexico. Old Henry's looking as guilty as a dog next to a pile of dog shit.
What's his motive?
I can think of a few, but I'd put my money south of the belt. One guy plus 2 dames always equals problems.
Bukowski, you made homicide.
That I did. Good to see you, Phelps.
You two want a hug? Or can we get on with this?
Relax, Rusty.
26 years old, fashion model. Found in the tub by the cleaning lady, Mrs. Reynoldson. She called it in.
We heard Carruthers thinks...
Carruthers likes to make work for people. Overdose of sleeping pills, falls asleep in the tub, rest in peace, case closed.
Here, here. Mal is 100% that it's murder.
Do you mind if I take a look around?
Sure. Go right ahead. Back to work, Phelps. I don't like the way this broad bought it. I want to get the guys responsible. I haven't got time to jaw, Cole. The captain wants me to make this case.
Come on, Phelps. Even Roy looks like he's working. Get on with it. I'll say hello to the skipper for you. For now, follow up on the narco angle.
This is her in these photos? She's something else.
Yes. Miss Julie was...
Pretty girl like that? Maybe she was having trouble with some boys, huh? Maybe she got her heart broken. She couldn't take it anymore. So she ran herself a bath and downed some pills, and then she just drifted off.
I don't know. Miss Julie, she always had so much fire, so much drive. I'm sorry, I'm not being very clear.
There. It's okay.
Beautiful girl. The clothes certainly aren't from the Sears catalog. This is all top end of town stuff. Gives us somewhere to look. Could have been a modeling assignment. It's a place to start. Quality English smoking jacket. I don't know anyone under 45 who would wear one. Barbiturates. Looks like barbiturates. What else is rattling around in this thing? We should speak to her doctor. Prescribing both drugs would make her life a roller coaster.
She dozed off in the bath. Why is everybody trying to build an angle around it?
You heard all the stuff the coroner said. It was pretty convincing.
God damn it. Mal gets paid to be convincing. He talks that bullshit for a living.
But look at the broad, look at the evidence. No assumptions. That's what you said.
I know what I said. You getting wise with me, Bukowski?
Mal, we've had a look around. Rusty thinks it's a waste of time. What's your theory?
Come on, Mal. Tell us why we were dragged down here.
If the victim was alive when she entered the tub, water would have entered her lungs. The water is violently churned in the windpipe as she drowns. The result is that a lot of foam is generated. This foam is found at the mouth and nostrils in almost all cases of real drowning. Notice anything about our Vic?
May I take a look?
Be my guest. Take a closer look at her head and neck.
A very unusual ring.
I could be wrong, but it looks like a black sapphire.
Bruising on the forearms, and these look like bite marks.
Very good.
Her neck is bruised pretty badly.
The eyes are a classic sign of morphine, and the bruises tell their own story. I think one man held her down and another held her arm and injected her. They put her in the bath to try to cover it as a drowning.
And spread a trail of barbiturates.
Take a look around outside on your way out and see if you can find the syrettes. It would make my theory.
And morphine would have been very quick, and there wouldn't have been much of a struggle.
Okay, so find two guys who recently bought syrettes and weren't junkies, and you might be onto something. You know I'm right, Phelps. This woman was murdered, and the killers need to be found. This is murder one. Get out there and find the guys who did it.
I'm Detective Phelps. I'm here to try and help Julia. Do you mind answering some questions?
Virginia Reynoldson, I'm just so shocked. I feel like there's something I should be doing, someone I should call.
We can make those calls, ma'am. Who needs to be notified?
That's just it. I don't know. Miss Julie doesn't have any family in town. Someone has to set her affairs in order. Mr. Henderson, maybe? Who else is there? I don't know.
If you give the details to the other detectives, ma'am, they can try and get in contact. What was it like working for Miss Randall?
Perfectly fine, officer.
Do you do the housekeeping on a regular basis?
Twice a week since Miss Julie moved here from New York.
Mrs. Reynoldson, it seems like there's something you want to tell me.
She was very high-strung. lovely one moment and screaming at you the next. She wanted it all, and she wanted it damn quick. Of course, being so beautiful, it seemed like she was going to get it. Not the way it's turned out, though, is it?
You're hiding something, Mrs. Reynoldson. There's something about Julia's past that you don't want to tell me.
And how do you come to that conclusion, young man? What makes you think I know anything about her past? You are being very crass, young man. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Did Miss Randall have many friends visit?
I'm not sure. I only come around twice a week.
But you cleaned up after parties.
Yes, I did. Sometimes beforehand. She was always so glamorous. She had the most beautiful clothes and jewelry. She could be hard, Miss Julie.
Men friends, Mrs. Reynoldson. Spill it.
I will not spread gossip about Miss Julia. She was very nice to me.
I don't care if she was the Virgin Mary's sister. Who was she humping? You changed the sheets.
You're disgusting. If you're going to take that tone, I won't answer any more questions.
Why are you lying to me, Mrs. Reynoldson? Julia had men stay here.
I will not speak ill of the dead. You can't prove that.
Who owns the smoking jacket?
I wouldn't like to tell tales, you understand. But that's Mr. Henderson's. An older man, very distinguished looking. He seemed very much in love with her.
Where would we find him?
I'm sorry. I don't know. He said he lives in San Francisco. That's a terrible insult to Miss Julia's honor and her memory. She's not even in the ground yet. You should be ashamed.
Was Miss Randall depressed about something? Upset?
No more than normal.
So she wasn't mad at anyone in particular?
No, men were usually besotted with Miss Julia, not the other way around. I don't think Miss Julia was ever in love with anyone.
Would she have killed herself for a man?
Miss Julie would never have killed herself. She was a very determined young lady. One of those people who shake the tree for all it's worth.
What are you hiding here, Mrs. Reynoldson? Julia was obviously disturbed about something.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
She was taking barbiturates. She couldn't sleep. You must have seen them in her room.
You've seen the pillbox, the things she hid in there. I don't know how she supported herself. Always new clothes and jewelry. She lived like a movie star. A princess. Does modeling really pay that well? If you were any kind of a detective, you would be trying to blame all this on Miss Julia. I was going to scrub the bathroom. And there she, floating. I really can't talk about this anymore. She was so beautiful and so young. Can you leave me alone now? I can't stand around here all day waiting for you. Her face beneath the water? I need to do something. Where are you going? I'm trying, officer. Please come back. No more. Please, no more. You mustn't ask any more questions. I can't bear to talk about it.
Thanks, Mrs. Reynoldson. You've been very helpful. One of the other detectives will take your statement, and then you can go home. I know you're trying to protect Julia, Mrs. Reynoldson, but it won't help us solve the case. Julia can't be hurt anymore. Stefan, Rusty, we'll take a look around outside and then follow up these leads. Can you get some guys to run down the jacket?
You think Carruthers has called it right?
He rarely gets it wrong.
I don't know. I'm with Galloway. I've met enough girls in my time who can't handle their dope.
Mal will be pleased.
Well, that's hardly conclusive, given the number of those things we've come across recently.
The autopsy will confirm it one way or another.
Can you get lost and let me work? This broad was built to be photographed, even if she is dead. Whew. Look, I got nothing to tell you, and I can't work with you under my goddamn nose every second.
Let's get out to the scene before they bag her. What are we missing? Let's go back to the apartment. We'll need the scoop from the homicide boys and from Mal before we do anything else. Once you've checked the bathroom, Cole, you better take a look around. You want to talk to the cleaning lady? Be my guest. You want to go digging around in drains trying to support Mal's theory? You go ahead. I'm not getting my hands dirty.
Here, Stoneman, office 505.
I swear, if we locked up every doctor in this town, Vice would be able to work half days.
Yes, sir, your name?
LAPD. We'd like to see Dr. Stoneman.
Dr. Stoneman is with a patient. Would you like to wait?
No, we wouldn't. Tell him we want to see him now.
There's no need to be rude.
Save it, sister.
Dr. Stoneman, I have some gentlemen from the LAPD here to see you.
Send them in, please. I'll see this patient again after they've left.
If you don't mind, I have patients to see too. Your partner is a creep, and you probably are too. I have nothing more to say to you.
Your investigation is much more important than my sciatica. I'm just in pain here. Leave me alone. Hurts to walk, hurts to sit down, and now I got police riding me like I'm a criminal. Get lost.
Dr. Stoneman, we are investigating the death of one of your patients, Julia Randall.
I'm very sorry to hear that.
Do you mind if we ask you some questions about Ms. Randall?
Not if it doesn't compromise doctor-patient privilege, Detective.
How well did you know Miss Randall?
Barely at all. She'd only been a patient 6 months or so.
She was disturbed, though.
Well, not in the conventional sense. She had trouble sleeping.
You didn't like her, did you?
It wasn't a question of like, Detective. She was incredibly beautiful. When you looked in her eyes, you knew how a mouse felt before a snake. Not an ounce of warmth there.
Julia Randall has been your patient for nearly a year. I'm sure you know that.
Do you doubt my veracity, Detective? Do you have access to my patient records?
Your prescriptions contradict you, Doctor.
Miss Randall was in the fashion business, as you probably know. She was jumped up on Benzedrine by day and knocked down by sleeping pills at night. I told her to slow up, but no. Life was too short for her.
And you supplied the prescription for the Benzedrine?
It's not illegal, Detective. A lot of young women in her line of work use it for weight loss. I would hardly expect you to be so presumptuous in a case such as this. Very improper.
You wrote Julia Randall a prescription for Benzedrine. How can you account for that?
Miss Randall was in the fashion business. She wanted to control her weight.
She didn't appear to have a weight problem.
She had a self-esteem problem. Miss Randall felt her only control over her life was through her appearance.
Benzedrine is addictive, as I'm sure you know, Doctor.
As I warned her, but she was determined. She said she needed it to control her appetite.
Sounds like you knew her pretty well.
I knew the line of work she was involved in.
We believe Miss Randall died of an overdose of morphine. You didn't prescribe her anything else, did you?
That is a very serious allegation to level at a doctor, young man. I am well aware of what is prescribed under the Harrison Act, Detective. If you wish to make any other ridiculous accusations, I suggest you direct them to my attorney.
Do you know where Miss Randall worked?
I have my patient's home address and next of kin. That's as far as it goes.
You said she was a fashion model?
Yes, that's correct.
We are investigating a murder, Doctor. You can either read whatever else is on that card, or I can reach over and take it from you.
There is such a thing as confidentiality, officer.
Not for a dead woman lying on her bathroom floor, there isn't. You want to obstruct me? I'll subpoena your patient records.
A clothing store. 6582 Hollywood Boulevard, Hollywood.
I'll see how easy that was. I think you're protecting Miss Randall. Was she a call girl, Doctor?
No, she was not. Not to my knowledge, anyway. How can you accuse me of covering that up? In case you jumped any further conclusions, Detective, I don't have any patients who are prostitutes. If you will excuse me, I have patients to attend to. Can I ask you politely to go now? I have patients who need my help. Detective? Tell me, do you often lose focus like this? You cleared my schedule for that? Clearly there's more, Detective. I think we're finished here, Detective. We've made no progress at all, and I have patients waiting.
That'll be all for now, Dr. Stoneman. We'll be in touch. We often find the more obstructive people tend to be, Dr. Stoneman, the more they have to hide.
The old boy's lying.
About what?
I don't know. He looked relieved when you said she was dead. That's a strange reaction to have to the death of a young patient. Her doctor was prescribing enough pills to stop a horse. Maybe we should pay him a visit. We're not letting the doctor off the hook, are we? Come on, Cole, let's go back. You got any idea what office the guy is in? Okay, time to grill the good doctor and get his story.
We were just having a look. We ain't done nothing wrong. Leave us be. I know what you're looking for, mister.
I don't know you, mister. We was just walking past, that's all. I wasn't leaving fingerprints on the glass or nothing. Just leave me alone.
Well, hello. What can I help you with today?
LAPD, ma'am.
I hope I haven't done anything wrong.
No, ma'am. We're making some inquiries about Julia Randall. Does she work here?
No, I had to let her go. Is she in some sort of trouble?
She was found dead this morning. How long had Julia worked as a model?
Well, she worked in New York before coming here. She was a very beautiful girl.
Could you tell us why you let Miss Randall go?
Husbands sometimes come in here with their wives. When Julia Randall modeled, the husbands were often more interested in her than they were their wives' dresses. The wives weren't happy, and neither was I.
We need information on anyone she might have been seeing. Maybe someone she met here.
I'm sorry, I don't know of anyone. If she was seeing someone, he must have had money. Julia would never be interested in any man who didn't have real money.
You weren't as shocked as someone normally is when told about a murder, ma'am. Is there something about Julia you want to tell me?
You're accusing me of lying? How dare you? What basis do you have for this kind of accusation? Julia was incredibly ambitious. So am I. You have to be to run your own business. Julia's problem was she would cut any corner to get ahead. Life isn't like that. I guess she found out the hard way.
Did she have any close friends here?
Actually, yes. Heather Swanson. Would you like to speak with her?
I'd like that very much. Please don't inform her about Miss Randall's death.
Very well, officer. Detective, this news is terrible, but I must get back to my customers. I wish you luck, Detective. I hope you find whoever did this. I must get back to my customers. If you don't get a move on, young man, people will start to think that you've lost your mind. Was that all you wanted, officer?
I am simply here to view the new spring collection, young man. I cannot answer any of your questions. Please, young man, I hardly think I need your help to choose a new gown.
Heather, these gentlemen are from the LAPD.
I'm Detective Phelps. This is Detective Earl. I understand that you worked with Julia Randall, Miss Swanson?
Yes. Julia helped me get my job here. She's not in any kind of trouble, is she?
She's a hellraiser, isn't she? Lives a fast life.
Oh, no. Maybe Mrs. Stanley would call her that, but I wouldn't. She's full of life, wonderful company.
That's a lovely engagement ring.
Do you like it? Henry gave it to me.
I'm very interested in engagement rings. Do you mind if I take a closer look? That's some pearl, Miss Swanson. Would have cost Henry a fortune. He must really love you. How did you meet Julia?
I was introduced through my fiancé, Henry Arnett.
Henry is your beau. Tell us about him.
Yes, he is. Henry has a fashion business. He and Julia have been friends for years.
You know that Julia was using drugs?
A lot of girls in this business do. They keep you alert and kill your appetite. I'm against it, personally.
Were Julia and Henry intimate before you started seeing him? Is there something you haven't told us, Miss Swanson?
How would I know whether Henry and Julia were close? A woman has her suspicions, Detective. Henry is really honest with me. And whatever happened in the past, I know he really loves me.
Are Miss Randall and Mr. Henderson engaged?
Who's he?
She was wearing a sapphire engagement ring. Someone must have given it to her.
She never mentioned a man named Henderson to me.
Look, lady, you need to give me something. Do you know anybody who would have cause to harm Julia?
No. Really, Mr. Phelps. Julie is my friend. I don't know why anyone would want to hurt her. She's okay, isn't she?
Julia was kept by this Henderson character. The apartment, the clothes, the jewelry. Was she a call girl?
How would I know? What evidence is there that says that Julia is a prostitute? If Julia is hard, it's because of her background. To put it politely, she was quite poor. But a call girl? I think that that's ridiculous, quite frankly.
That's all for now, Miss Swanson. Could you ask your fiancé to visit Hollywood Police Station? It would be very helpful to our inquiry.
Now, wait a moment. I don't think I'll pass on that message until you tell me why you're asking all these questions.
Julia Randall was found dead this morning.
What? Oh, no. Oh, I can't believe it. She was so full of life. Really, now is not the time. Leave me alone. Please, not right now. Well, you can't stand around here all day looking vacant. It's embarrassing. Don't go away, Detective. I want to know what this is about.
Yes, Detective. The coroner's been asking to speak to you. I can connect the call if you like.
Please, thank you. Al?
Cole, can you get over here? I just finished the autopsy.
Sure thing, Mal. We'll be right over.
I say we check out the dress shop. The only lead we have is the dress store, Cole. Let's go back. We need to have words with the owner. Find out what kind of employee Julia Randall was. Get a statement out of the Swanson lady, Cole. Classy girls seem to warm to you. Crime scene reports might be back by now. You should check for messages.
Phelps, coroner's waiting for you in the examination room next door. Go.
Detectives Phelps and Earl here to see the coroner.
Yes, Detective. He's waiting for you in the examination room. You want to speak to the coroner, Detective? I'm a bit busy right now. If you'll excuse me, I have some pretty tough phone calls to make.
Cole, Roy, I have some information for you.
You're the only person enjoying this, Mal. Get on with it.
The bruising confirms 2 sets of hands, so we have 2 killers. Death was caused by heart failure due to an overdose of morphine.
Have you dragged us down here to gloat? We already heard your theory.
We agree that she was murdered.
Yes, of course.
I have something else to show you.
All right, Mal, what gives?
The dead guy's name is Jimmy LeBlanc, career burglar. He came in this morning. Someone stove his head in with a lump of 2x4.
So what? Good riddance.
I found 2 cigarettes in his jacket pocket.
Wow.
Hang on a minute, Roy. We're listening, Mal.
No sign of morphine use and no metabolized morphine in his blood. Scratch marks on his face.
Which could be from getting his head remodeled.
Time of death, Mal.
Maybe an hour or 2 after the Randall girl.
So you're saying Laughing Boy here could be one of our killers? That's a hell of a long shot.
Thanks, Mal. We'll check it out.
I found something else.
Sorry, I don't play.
I don't know if it's significant. His wallet was empty. The only other things he was carrying were the harmonica and the morphine. Carruthers? Yeah, he's here. I'll send him over. They have a guy called Henry Arnett in interview 2 for you next door. Let me know how you get on.
Sure, Mal. And thanks for the lead.
Sure, Mal. Thanks for the lead.
Contrary to what your partner thinks, I think the LeBlanc angle has wheels. You need to follow it up. You need to get back to the case, Detective. I've got reports to write.
Arnett is in interview 2, Phelps. Go help him get whatever it is off his chest.
Mr. Arnett, I'm Detective Phelps. This is Detective Earl. Thanks for coming in.
Call me Henry. It's the least I could do. Terrible news about Julia.
How well did you know Julia Randall?
Vaguely. I'm in the clothing business, and Julia occasionally modeled for me.
And you were close?
We were friends.
He's asking whether you banged her in a chuck-on-the-shoulder fraternity kind of way.
I'm engaged to be married. It wouldn't be polite.
Answer the question.
This will remain private? Heather won't have to know? Yes. We had relations.
Come clean with us, Arnett. Was Miss Randall your mistress? Is that how she could afford such a lavish lifestyle?
That's a ridiculous allegation. How could you possibly prove that I paid for Julia's things? We were strictly business. Julia and I came from different social backgrounds.
Miss Randall's landlady said she was seeing an older man.
Could have been. I wasn't privy to all the details of Julia's private life.
So you don't have a name? Someone we can follow up on?
No, I don't.
Spill it, Henry. You know nothing about a man named Henderson?
Yes, you're right. Henderson, yeah. Very distinguished.
How about a first name, wise guy? An address, maybe?
I'm sorry, I don't. I think he lives somewhere out of town. Somewhere back east.
Henry, I don't like when people lie to me. She was seeing a man named Henderson. You know who I'm talking about.
Easy on, Detective. I may have heard of Henderson, but I don't know his full name. I think he's from New York or someplace back east.
That's funny. Julia told her cleaning lady that he lived in San Francisco.
Okay, you got me. I don't know where he's from. Julia wanted money. She always wanted money. She thought she could get some from this guy.
She was wearing a distinctive engagement ring. You think she might have convinced him to buy it for her?
Maybe he did, yeah. Maybe he and Julia were getting serious. I'm here of my own free will, Detective. I'm doing my best to be helpful. The last thing I'd want to do is lie.
Ever heard of a Jimmy LeBlanc?
No. Should I have? Is he an entertainer or something?
He's a career criminal lying dead next door. Educated man like you wouldn't consort with criminals, would you?
No, I would not.
So you wouldn't have any reason to believe that LeBlanc would be involved in Julie Randall's murder?
If this guy is a criminal, he might have been involved. But like I said, I've never heard of this LeBlanc character.
I think you're lying. I think Randall was a high-priced hooker, and this Henderson character didn't want it to come out that he had been seeing her. I think he had LeBlanc and an accomplice bump her off. I think you know who Henderson is, and you're trying to conceal his identity.
I think you've been out in the sun too long without your hat. Prove that I know who Henderson is. I came down here to talk to you, to do the right thing, to try and help catch Julia's killers, and all I get is abuse. I'm not a criminal, Detective.
Heather told us that you were in fashion.
That's right.
You're some kind of traveling salesman?
Once I got out of the Corps, I used my...
You were in the Marines?
Sure. I'm proud of it. The Fighting 6th.
You were in the 6th Marines?
Yes. I was a captain.
Which company?
Various companies. We had a lot of casualties.
Which engagements?
Okinawa. A couple of other places.
That will be all for now, Henry. You've been very helpful. Ready to talk some sense now, Arnett.
Well, I have a business to run. Terrible news about Julia. Shocking, frankly. I'd rather not speak about it anymore if you don't mind. If that's all, Heather's distraught. I probably need to get home. Really? That's everything you need? I have more for you, Detective. I'm sure of it.
That son of a bitch was never in the Marines. Why'd you let him off the hook?
Because we're giving him a couple of minutes before we start tailing him. Arnett is an amateur. We need to find out who killed the girl. Can you pass this on to Bukowski? Have him check the place out and go through his records.
Sure, I'll pass it on.
Thanks. Can you also have R&I run the records on a Jimmy LeBlanc and find out who was his last arresting officer? Have them get in touch via KGPL when they have some information.
Quit hassling me, Detective. Isn't there work you should be doing? Get to it, Phelps. Run your own errands. I'm busy.
Sounds like Mal has our next contestant on the slab, Cole. We better get over there. The only choice we have is to go back and listen to Carruthers crow about his big theory. May as well get this over with. Let's go and hear Mal's fairy tale. Hey, Mal's got something he wants to show you. We should see what we can shake out of our net while we got him in the interview room. Better check the man's business card, Cole, in case we need him later. Our net is a knucklehead. We tail him and see where he leads us. He's in that car at the lights.
He needs money and fast. Get in there and find out what he pawned. I'll stick with him, see how he intends to spend the money.
Where do you think you're going? I take the pawnbroker, you take the suspect, remember? Hoof it, Phelps. I'll bring the car around when I'm done here.
That's right, Mexico City. One-way ticket, please. Next available seat.
That would be 1 day from now. Is that okay?
It's going to have to be.
If you're finished, sir, I have other customers to deal with. I have tickets to reserve and issue, if you don't mind.
LAPD, the man who just came in here, he bought a ticket?
Yes, sir, to Mexico City, tomorrow night.
If you hear from him again, don't mention this conversation.
What have you got?
He bought a ticket from Mexico City, tomorrow night.
That's good, but this is better. Should have seen the look on the pawnbroker's face when I told him to hand it over.
My God, it's Fabergé.
Car 11K, Car 11 King, come in.
Car 11 King, go ahead.
R&I reports the last arresting officer for DOA Jimmy LeBlanc was Patrolman Fred Wallace, who's working a shift on Hollywood 9th Beat, Sunset Boulevard between Gordon and Wilcox.
Car 11K, en route.
Any luck with the arrest record check on Jimmy LeBlanc?
Yes, Detective. Jimmy LeBlanc's last arresting officer was Patrolman Fred Wallace. He's posted the Hollywood 9th Beat, Sunset Boulevard between Gordon and Wilcox.
Come on, let's give him a hand.
Right behind you, Wallace. Detective Phelps.
Wallace, go left. I'm going right after this little prick in the alley.
Thanks. Outstanding warrant, armed robbery. Knocked over a drugstore back there, and it looks like he brought his whole posse with him. Bad luck for them.
They're all yours now. We need some information.
Ever heard of a burglar goes by the name of Jimmy LeBlanc?
Sure. I nabbed Jimmy on a burglary beef a couple of years back. They cut through a music shop and into a jewelry store. He got 4 years. I miss his partner, though.
His partner?
Big guy. I had him cornered, and he picked up this huge display case and threw it out a plate glass window. Then he vaulted out of there like something out of Barnum and Bailey.
He got away.
I would have had him, except for LeBlanc yelling, "Run for it, Willie!"
And you think he was an acrobat of some sort?
More like a strongman, a wrestler, or a boxer, that kind of thing.
Thanks. You've been a big help.
You haven't done too badly yourself. Thanks for mowing down that shitbird. Don't know how much longer my legs would have held up. You going after that big monkey you used to run with Jimmy? Hope you have success with your case.
You're suggesting LeBlanc is still working with Willie?
A strong man held down Randall while someone administered the morphine. Someone with muscle opened up LeBlanc's skull. Could be.
Car 11K, 11 King, come in.
Go ahead, KGPL.
11K, go to Hollywood Station. Homicide detectives Bukowski and Galloway have information relating to the Randall case.
Roger, KGPL. 11K, en route.
Yes, Detective. Detectives Bukowski and Galloway request you return to the Hollywood Station. They have information in the Julia Randall case.
We need to talk to the uniform and get the dope on LeBlanc. Get after the guy, Phelps. Come on! Might be time to call in, Cole.
We caught up with Mal. He's given us the dope on LeBlanc.
He worked burglaries with a big guy. Goes by the name of Willie. He might be our killer. Can you work boxing gyms, the Y, promoters, that kind of stuff?
Since when have you started giving orders, Phelps? And where's the burglary angle? There was no sign of a...
That's where our net comes in. Next stop, we speak to Lacey about a list of recent burglaries.
The guy's a bum. His office is a front, and he's behind on the rent and his phone bill.
And he's skipping town. Tomorrow.
Let's get him in and beat it out of him.
Do you want to bring in the killer, Rusty?
It could be too smart for your own good, Phelps. We've been talking about that, haven't we, Roy? Stefan?
Finbar?
Sir, I need the contraband list. Items stolen over the last year.
Hang on, I'll dig out a copy for you. Here you go.
Thanks.
Is the cigarette case on there?
It's here. Arnett must be out of his mind trying to move this while under a murder cloud. Julia Randall's ring. It's here. Even the engagement ring was purloined. Arnett is a cad. Seems Julia wasn't the first bored society girl to hide her bennies in that pillbox.
Every career burglar has his name or his work on a daybook somewhere, Cole. Let's get back to the station. We need to check out a list of burgled items. Watch Commander keeps a list. Are you going to check that burglary list or what?
So you and Rusty have been having discussions. Anything you would like to tell me, partner?
Phelps, don't be so touchy. Rusty had his best ever clearance rate working with you. Even if the cases he worked on can't be discussed. We were just comparing notes. You're a Booneroo case man, Phelps. One of the best I've ever seen. You gotta learn to take a compliment, Phelps. Nice house.
LAPD, ma'am. Is Mrs. Eavestrom in?
She is. Would you follow me, sir?
I am Mrs. Eavestrom. How may I help you?
We appear to have recovered some stolen goods that belong to you, ma'am.
Yes, of course. Would you like something to drink? That terrible burglary.
No, thank you, ma'am. We have some questions, if you don't mind.
Why would I mind, young man, if you are returning 43 pieces of my property?
Okay, before we get down to that, I'll have a scotch. Thanks, straight up.
Maria, can you get the detective a drink, please?
What can you tell us about the burglary?
That terrible night, at least a year ago. But let's not go into that. Let's talk about what you've recovered.
Were you in the house when the burglary took place?
Good heavens, no. I was at a social function held by a Dr. Harold Stoneman and his lovely wife. I returned home and all of my things were missing.
I get the sense that you're worried about something, Mrs. Eavestrom.
I have already received the insurance claim, Detective. Is there any way we could keep the return of these items discreet?
I think you know more about this burglary than you are letting on, Mrs. Eavestrom. There isn't an insurance claim involved, is there?
Are you accusing me of having my own home burgled? How dare you? What possible proof do you have for this scandalous remark? I would appreciate it if your friend finished his drink and the two of you left.
Can you describe to us what was stolen?
It would be easier to describe what wasn't stolen, Detective. A priceless tiara that has been in the family for 50 years. A Fabergé cigarette case that was worth $25,000.
We recovered a black sapphire ring.
A beautiful piece. It belongs to my daughter.
So you have no idea who did this burglary? A lot of these cases tend to be inside jobs.
How dare you impugn my character and the character of my staff? If you have no further questions, I suggest you leave.
Why are you lying about the value of your jewelry, Mrs. Eavestrom?
Who do you think you are, making heinous accusations in my own home?
We recovered the cigarette case from a pawnbroker. No one knows the real value of an item better than those guys.
I inflated its value for the insurance claim. There. Are you satisfied? My daughter's boyfriend was quite taken with the case. I think he was even more disappointed than I was when it was stolen. Young man, you are being quite diabolically rude. If that's all, I would like you out of this house.
That's about it for now, Mrs. Eavestrom. The department will get in touch and let you know how you can recover your valuables.
You have only mentioned a few of the items that have been stolen, Detective. What else has been recovered?
You see, Phelps? That's why you get the drinks in early.
Hello, Mother. Hello, detectives. What is going on?
We'd like to ask exactly the same question.
You have met my daughter?
This morning at work. Oh, mother and father divorced. I took my father's name.
The detectives recovered some of the things that were stolen, darling.
What did you find?
A sapphire ring on the corpse of Julia Randall.
What are you talking about?
Your engagement ring, Miss Swanson. Would you be surprised to know that it was part of the proceeds of a burglary?
That's an outrageous allegation.
Yes, it is. I suggest we go straight to Henry Arnett's place and sort this mess out.
All this talk has me considerably vexed, Detective. I'm sorry. You'll have to give me a moment. Go and find my jewelry pieces and bring them back to me, Detective. It's very important. Each one is a memento from my dead husbands. Maria, I think we'd best get this officer a drink to get him moving. He looks rather gormless. Excuse me, come back here, Detective. You were telling me about my valuables.
We're missing something here. Arnett is obviously arranging the burglaries.
That's my fiance you're making scurrilous accusations about.
And Randall was obviously his partner.
But neither of them are the type to creep apartments.
You're being ridiculous. Both of you. There's a very good explanation for all of this.
Put a sock in it, sister. You're being played for a patsy and you're not even smart enough to see it. Back here, Cole. I'm not babysitting this broad on my own. You think this is funny? Come on, Cole. If we don't move now, we'll lose our shot at Arnett. Okay. We check out this Eastrom broad and see if we can make the link between the burglars and Arnett. We need to visit the owner and get a statement. Speak to Mrs. Eastrom, Cole. She'll know every item that went missing.
Come on, sister. Let's find out who your fiancé really is.
Welcome, sir. I'm sorry, are you a resident?
LAPD detectives. We're here to speak to Henry Arnett.
Oh, Mr. Arnett? Apartment 30. You can take the lift.
Thank you.
Please, detective, if this is police business, I'd rather not involve myself. I'm sure there's nothing I can tell you. I'm sorry.
Well, isn't this just nice and awkward?
Don't kill him, Cole. This guy's our case.
Go on, get after him.
Looks like he got you good, Phelps.
Yeah, he really packs a wallop. How did I get back here?
Under your own steam, miraculously. You came in through the window, said hello, and then keeled over.
How was Arnett?
He's coming round, too. He's all hopped up. Good time to get some answers.
You missing something, Henry?
Take a look through his things. See what else this snake is hiding.
Vacheron Constantine. That's an extremely expensive watch, Henry.
A graduation present from my parents.
You told Heather you're honeymooning without her?
We know all about the jewelry ring. You and Randall and LeBlanc and Willie doing the legwork.
I'm in the fashion business.
Your office is empty and you're behind on the rent.
Times are tough.
Miss Swanson might be gullible enough to believe your story, Arnett, but I'm not buying. You're involved in a burglary scam, and so was Julia Randall.
I'm a legitimate businessman. I can't speak for Julia.
You're lying, Henry.
How can you prove that I'm involved, detective?
Because you pawned a Fabergé cigarette case today for $600, a case that is on a list of stolen items.
It was Julia's idea. Get a list of society parties and find out where and when, and then have the guests burgled. Julia was desperate for money. No matter how much we made, she always wanted more. I thought as much. Shouldn't you be calling me an ambulance or something?
Why did Reed and LeBlanc kill Julia Randall?
I wanted to stop, to get out of that life. I was going to marry Heather if she'd have me. Julia told the others that they were out, that she was going to create a new gang.
But why kill her?
She always looked down on those two. When she told them that she was cutting them out, they swore to get even with her.
You wanted Julia Randall out of your life.
Why would he want that? Julia was our friend.
Julia was his hump, sweetheart. They were the Bonnie and Clyde of society burglars. He met you and realized he didn't have to steal anymore. He could just mooch from you. He needed Julia out of the way.
Julia was insatiable. She didn't care about anyone, not the least me. She was never going to go back to the poverty she came from. I wanted it to stop.
You're lying, Arnett. I think you ordered them to kill her. It was made to look like suicide, and when the coroner saw through that, you knew it was time to run.
I told you I was involved in the burglaries. I had nothing to do with Julia's death. Why would I need to run?
Oh, have you told Miss Swanson that you're leaving for Mexico City tomorrow night? That it's a one-way ticket?
Henry? Tell me it isn't true.
I had no choice. I wanted to marry Heather. I told Julia I wanted out, and she laughed in my face. I had to pay Willie and Jimmy a fortune to do her, and now I'm completely broke.
What you are, Buster, is under arrest.
That's some story, Detective. But you can't prove any of it.
Who is Henderson, and what is his involvement?
Tell them what you know, Henry. I'll stand by you if you'll only tell the truth.
There is no Henderson.
So you've taken to wearing smoking jackets, have you?
No. What are you talking about?
Give it up, Arnett. You're facing the gas chamber. Give the judge some reason to commute.
You still don't get it, do you? Julia entrapped everyone. She was so beautiful and so goddamn cold.
Tell me about your first burglary, and don't lie.
I can't remember. I don't keep a list of these things.
Your first burglary was a Dr. Harold Stoneman. Do you want to explain how he is involved, or shall I?
Henderson is Stoneman. He was crazy about Julia. She could get him to do whatever she wished. He threw the parties, and we arranged the burglaries. Julia never let him touch her. She just kept him hanging on the promise. Drove the good doctor almost insane. No such person, Detective. I'm sorry to disappoint you. I have nothing more to say. I had to be as ruthless as Julia. It was me or her. That's all I'll say. If I'm not under arrest and you're just going to stand around, do you mind if I leave? You won't let me leave until we finish this, Detective, so you'd best get on with it.
Henry Arnett, you are under arrest for burglary and for the murder of Julia Randall.
Henderson is Stoneman, all right? I'm not the guy you want. Go talk to the good doctor.
Oh, we will, knucklehead. Meanwhile, we're fitting you for convict stripes.
Call a lawyer, Arnett. You're going to need a good one.
We need to get to Arnett's apartment. He's the key to all of this. We should be back at Arnett's place. That guy couldn't lie straight in bed. Concierge will have the apartment number. Arnett is in 30, Cole. Let's pay him a visit. Get after that big monkey! Arnett's out for the count. Take a look through his things. Get his story. Let's see Henry talk his way out of this with Heather in the room. Time for the doctor to give us something to make this all better. Hang on a moment, sister. Tell him it's Henry Arnett, and tell him it's urgent.
I can't do that.
Tell him, or I'll charge you with obstruction of justice.
Doctor, I'm afraid Mr. Arnett is here to see you, and he says it's urgent.
Send him in. I told you never to come.
Tell us the truth, Doctor.
I'm so glad you came. Prison will be better than insanity, and I'm already half insane with grief. Do you know that I loved her? I ruined my life for her, and yet I still love her.
Will you testify in court that Arnett and Randall did these robberies?
They organized the robberies. Julie would get the names of the guests attending my wife's parties. Didn't matter how much money I showered upon her, it was never enough. She never really cared for me.
Doctor, I'm afraid you're under arrest.
the practice. You'll call Dr. Gerard. No. Please don't cry. I want to see no one. Not my wife or my children nor my friends. And I don't want a lawyer. Just lock me up and throw away the key. What have I done?
God.
Didn't see that coming.
I need an ambulance and the coroner immediately to the offices of Dr. Harold Stoneman, 1646 Ivor Street, Hollywood.
En route, Detective. You have a message. Detective Bukowski says the suspect is named Wilson Willie the Wolf Reed, former wrestler. Last known address is an apartment building at the corner of Hollywood and Vine. Detective Bukowski says to meet them there.
On our way. We have an address for the runner.
Let's try and wrap this up then. Thank God I didn't park there. That old boy really fell for that broad.
She was incredibly beautiful, Roy.
Would you throw it all away for a woman?
Life has a way of making you pay for your pride.
You're quite the romantic, Phelps. Stick with the percentages. Broken hearts are for chumps.
You're talking from experience.
I certainly am. Oh, I like women as much as the next guy, as long as they're in their place and doing what they're told. Stoneman lied to us. It's time we had another talk with him. Stoneman's up to his ears in this. We need to nail him for it. Let's go back there. Tell the receptionist that we'll need her boss, and not to interfere. Call this in, Cole. Maybe you should ask for a street sweeper.
He's around here somewhere. A big guy. Neighbors say he always wears basketball shoes and a cream jacket. And get this, the kids around here say he plays the harmonica.
Find a game well and have the commander set up a dragnet. We want the area closed off. We'll take this out of the street.
A harmonica playing wrestler. That's a weird one. Think he knits as well?
Just keep your eyes open and your mouth shut. We don't want him to bolt on us.
Wait. Cole. Do you hear that? Wilson Reed, LAPD, give yourself up. Hold it. He's got to be around here somewhere. No place to go unless he grew wings. There he is. Waste the son of a bitch. Son of a bitch is around here somewhere. We better search the block. We have Reed's address. Let's roll on it. Reed killed the broad. We go to his apartment and wrap this thing up. Reed isn't dusting on us this time, Cole. Go!
Son of a bitch really picked a spot for it up here, didn't he? Julia Randall's folks are flying in from New York tomorrow to claim the body. I saw her on the slab. So perfect. Looked like she was made of porcelain. She really made an impression on me.
Julia had that impact on a lot of men.
Christ, it's cold. You guys did good work here today. Roy, I think you should buy your brother officers a drink.
Do you now? That's very generous of you, Lieutenant.
You're on report, Phelps. Without the goddamn doctor, we have nothing. The whole case is circumstantial. The broad is dead, the doctor's all over the sidewalk, and you reamed the wrestler. I'm going to hand this crock of shit down to burglary and let those clowns sort it out. If we're lucky, we'll get Arnett on misdemeanor receiving stolen goods. And what do we tell the girl's parents?
Tell them that she was a ball-breaking, gold-digging ice queen bitch from hell.
All right, wise guy. For that, you can interview the high school dope fiends. There's 20 of them. They were caught with one reefer between them. Now that is a case worthy of your skills. Phelps, you're back on the street.